Welcome to ZzZscience. Close your eyes now and let yourself settle into this moment, this quiet space where the world slows down and softens. Tonight, we're going to drift together through the gentle, mysterious world of cats, those soft-pawed creatures who have walked beside us through thousands of years, who have curled up in sunbeams and moonlight, who have watched over sleeping children and kept vigil in silent rooms. Let their story become your lullaby. Let the rhythm of their purring heartbeat carry you down into rest. Imagine, if you will, a cat sleeping. Picture the way its body curves into itself, forming a perfect crescent moon of fur and warmth. The way its paws tuck underneath, the way its tail wraps around like a soft scarf. Cats spend nearly 2/3 of their lives sleeping, which means a 9-year-old cat has been awake for only 3 years of its life. Think about that for a moment. These creatures are masters of rest, experts in the art of surrender, teachers of how to let go completely into sleep. They don't fight it, they don't resist. When tiredness comes, they simply fold themselves into whatever safe space they've found and let consciousness slip away like water through fingers. A cat can sleep anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day, sometimes even more. They are crepuscular creatures, which means they're most active during the twilight hours of dawn and dusk, those liminal times when the world is neither day nor night, but something in between, something magical. During the bright afternoon and the deep night, they sleep, and their sleep is not one continuous thing, but rather a collection of naps, a series of small surrenders throughout the day and night. They doze lightly, they sink into deeper sleep, they dream, they wake, they sleep again. It's a rhythm as natural as breathing, as necessary as the tide. When a cat first falls asleep, it enters a light sleep phase, a drowsy state where it's still somewhat aware of its surroundings. You can see this in the way its ears still swivel towards sounds, the way it might open one eye slightly if something moves nearby. This light sleep lasts for about 15 or 20 minutes, and during this time, the cat's body is relaxed but ready. It's a kind of trust, but not complete trust. It's the sleep of a creature that has lived wild, that remembers in its bones the need to stay alert. But then, if the cat feels safe, if the environment is calm and warm and quiet, it slips deeper, down into what we call REM sleep, the sleep of dreams. Yes, cats dream. Scientists have studied their brainwaves and found that cats experience rapid eye movement sleep just as humans do. During these dream periods, which last only a few minutes at a time, you might see a sleeping cat's paws twitch, its whiskers quiver, its tail flick softly. Sometimes they make little chirping sounds or soft mews. What do they dream about? We can only imagine. Perhaps they dream of hunting, of stalking through tall grass, of pouncing on invisible prey. Perhaps they dream of warm laps and gentle hands. Perhaps they dream of their mothers, of being tiny kittens again, of milk and safety, and the sound of purring all around them. Perhaps they dream of things we cannot fathom, of colours we cannot see, of sounds beyond our hearing. The fact that cats dream suggests they have a rich inner life, a world of memory and experience that continues even in sleep. It tells us they are not simple creatures, but complex ones, beings with thoughts and feelings, with hopes and fears, with a consciousness that extends beyond the immediate moment. When you watch a cat dream, you are witnessing something profound, something that connects that small animal to you, to all of us who dream, who carry our days into our nights, who process and remember and experience life even in unconsciousness. And then there is the purring. Oh, the purring. That sound is one of the most soothing sounds in nature, a low, rhythmic rumble that vibrates through a cat's entire body. The frequency of a cat's purr typically ranges from 25 to 50 Hz, and this specific range of frequency has been shown to have healing properties. It can promote bone density, help heal wounds, reduce pain, and ease breathing difficulties. When a cat purrs, it is not just expressing contentment, though it often is content. It is also, in a way, healing itself, using the vibration of its own body to maintain health and repair damage. Cats purr when they're happy, yes, when they're being petted or fed or curled up in a warm spot. But they also purr when they're frightened, when they're injured, when they're giving birth, when they're dying. The purr is a self-soothing mechanism, a way to calm themselves, to tell their own nervous system that everything will be all right. Mother cats purr to their kittens, and the kittens, who are born blind and deaf, can feel those vibrations and know their mother is near, know they are safe. It's a language older than words, a communication of pure feeling transmitted through the body itself. The mechanism of purring is still not completely understood, though scientists believe it involves the rapid movement of the muscles in the cat's larynx, causing the vocal cords to separate and vibrate as the cat breathes in and out. It's a continuous sound, unlike the vocalizations that require exhalation. A cat can purr constantly, endlessly, a motor that never stops running. Some cats purr so quietly you can barely hear it, only feel it when you touch them. Others purr so loudly it fills a room, a sound like distant thunder or a small engine. If you've ever fallen asleep with a purring cat on your chest, you know the magic of it. The weight of the cat, warm and alive. The vibration traveling through your ribs into your heart. The rhythm of it matching your breathing, slowing it, deepening it. It's hypnotic, it's primal. It connects you to something ancient, to the thousands of years that humans and cats have lived together, have slept together, have offered each other comfort in the darkness. Let yourself imagine that now. Imagine a cat curled on your chest, heavy and warm. Imagine the purring, steady and low. Let that imaginary vibration move through you. Let it slow your heartbeat, soften your breathing. You don't need a real cat here with you tonight. The memory of that feeling, the idea of it, is enough. Your body remembers comfort. Your body knows how to relax. Just thinking about it can begin the process of letting go. Cats have whiskers, those long, sensitive hairs that sprout from their muzzles, above their eyes, on their chins, and on the backs of their front legs. These whiskers are called vibrissae, and they are deeply embedded in the cat's body, connected to muscles and nerves that send detailed information to the brain. A cat's whiskers are extraordinarily sensitive to even the smallest changes in air currents. They can detect the presence of objects without touching them, can sense when something is nearby, can navigate in complete darkness using only the feedback from their whiskers. The whiskers are roughly as wide as the cat's body, which means a cat can use them to determine whether an opening is large enough to squeeze through. If the whiskers fit, the body will fit. It's a built-in measuring system, an elegant solution to the problem of moving through narrow spaces, through dense vegetation, through the complicated landscapes of their world. When a cat is hunting, its whiskers point forward, extending the reach of its senses, helping it track the exact location of prey, even in the dark. When a cat is frightened or defensive, the whiskers pull back against its face, out of the way of potential danger. You can tell a lot about a cat's mood by watching its whiskers. Forward whiskers mean curiosity, interest, engagement. Whiskers pressed flat indicate fear, aggression, or illness. Relaxed whiskers, extending naturally to the sides, signal a calm, content cat. It's one of many ways cats communicate without sound, using their bodies as a language, speaking in postures and positions, in the angle of an ear, the curve of a tail, the set of their whiskers. Cats see the world differently than we do. Their eyes are enormous in proportion to their skulls. among the largest eyes of any mammal relative to body size. Those big eyes gather light, pulling in every available photon to help them see in conditions that would leave us helpless and blind. A cat needs only 1/6 of the light that a human needs to see. In what we would call darkness, they see a world of greys and shapes, detailed and clear. They have a layer of cells behind their retinas called the tapetum lucidum, which reflects light back through the retina, giving the photoreceptors a second chance to capture it. This is what causes their eyes to glow in flashlight beams or headlights, that eerie green or gold shine. But this incredible night vision comes with trade-offs. Cats don't see color the same way we do. They have fewer cone cells, the receptors responsible for color vision, and more rod cells, which detect motion and work well in low light. They can see some colors, blues and greens primarily, but reds and pinks likely appear as shades of gray to them. The world through a cat's eyes is less saturated, less vibrant in terms of color, but more alive with movement. They detect the slightest motion with incredible precision. A cat can see the flutter of a moth's wing across a dark room, the trembling of grass that might indicate a hidden mouse. Their field of vision is wider than ours, about 200 degrees compared to our 180, which gives them better peripheral awareness. But directly ahead, in that overlap where both eyes see the same thing, they have excellent depth perception, crucial for judging the distance before a pounce. Everything about their vision is adapted for hunting, for being a predator that works in low light, that must track and capture fast-moving prey with precision and timing. And yet, despite these powerful eyes, cats are nearsighted compared to us. They see clearly for about 20 feet, but beyond that, things become blurry. They don't need to see into the distance the way we do. Their world is more immediate, more focused on what's near, what's approaching, what's within reach. It's a different way of experiencing reality, neither better nor worse, just different, shaped by needs and evolution, by the life their ancestors lived and the life they live now. When cats are awake, they spend much of their time grooming. They are meticulous about cleanliness, licking their fur with their rough tongues, those tongues covered in tiny, backward-facing hooks called papillae. These hooks are made of keratin, the same material as human fingernails, and they work like a comb, catching loose fur, untangling knots, distributing natural oils from the skin throughout the coat. The grooming serves many purposes beyond cleanliness. It cools the cat through evaporation of saliva, it stimulates blood flow, it removes parasites, it provides comfort and stress relief. Cats groom themselves compulsively, spending up to half of their waking hours on this task. It's not vanity, but necessity. An instinct so strong that even sick or injured cats will attempt to groom, will force themselves to maintain this ritual. When cats groom each other, which they do in bonded pairs or family groups, it's called allogrooming, and it serves a social function, strengthening bonds, showing affection, helping with areas the cat cannot easily reach itself, like the top of the head and behind the ears. If a cat grooms you, licking your hand or face with that sandpaper tongue, it's treating you as family, as part of its social group. It's a high compliment, a gesture of trust and affection. The cat is not just cleaning you, but claiming you, marking you with its scent, blending your smell with its own to create a shared family scent. Cats have scent glands on their cheeks, their foreheads, around their mouths, and they rub these glands on everything important to them, on doorways and furniture corners, on their humans' legs, on each other. Scent is a huge part of how cats understand their world, how they create a map of safety and belonging. Their sense of smell is 14 times stronger than a human's. They have about 200 million scent receptors in their nasal cavity, compared to our 5 million. But beyond that, they have an additional scent organ that we don't have, called the vomeronasal organ or Jacobson's organ, located in the roof of their mouth. When you see a cat stop and open its mouth slightly, pulling its lips back in what looks like a grimace, it's using this organ. The behavior is called the Flamen response, and it allows the cat to draw scent molecules into the vomeronasal organ, where they can be analyzed more deeply. It's most often used to investigate pheromones, those chemical signals that carry information about reproductive status, identity, emotional state. Through scent, cats read stories we cannot access. They know who walked through a room hours ago. They know if another cat is stressed or confident, male or female, familiar or stranger. They know if you've been petting another cat, if you've eaten something interesting, if you're feeling afraid or sick. The world of scent is rich and complex and entirely foreign to our primarily visual way of experiencing reality. To a cat, scent is information, memory, communication, and comfort all at once. In ancient Egypt, cats were revered, considered sacred, associated with the goddess Bastet, who represented home, fertility, protection, and joy. Bastet was often depicted as a woman with a cat's head, or simply as a cat, and she was one of the most widely worshipped deities in Egypt. Cats were so valued that harming one, even accidentally, could be punished by death. When a beloved cat died, family members would shave their eyebrows in mourning. Cats were mummified and buried with ceremony, sometimes with mummified mice placed in their tombs to sustain them in the afterlife. This reverence had practical roots. Cats protected Egypt's grain stores from rats and mice, which meant they protected the food supply that allowed Egyptian civilization to flourish. Without cats, the losses to rodents would have been catastrophic. So cats were not just pets, but essential workers, guardians of prosperity. They were allowed to roam freely through homes and temples. They were fed and cared for. They were, in a very real sense, partners in survival. But the relationship between humans and cats goes back even further than Egypt. The earliest evidence of cat domestication comes from Cyprus, from a grave dating back nearly 10,000 years, where a human and a cat were buried together. The cat was clearly not wild, but had been placed deliberately in the grave, suggesting it was important to the person, perhaps a companion, perhaps beloved. This was at a time when humans were just beginning to settle into agricultural communities, to store grain, to create permanent villages, and with stored grain came mice, and with mice came cats. It's likely that domestication happened gradually, almost accidentally. Wildcats, drawn by the abundance of prey around human settlements, began to hang around. The ones who were less fearful of humans, more tolerant of their presence, thrived. Humans noticed these cats killing pests and welcomed them, perhaps began feeding them scraps, encouraging them to stay. Over generations, the tamest cats bred with each other, and their kittens were tamer still, and slowly, without anyone really intending it, a wild animal became a domestic one. But cats are different from most domestic animals. Dogs were bred and shaped extensively by humans, molded into hundreds of distinct breeds with wildly different appearances and behaviors. Cats, on the other hand, remain remarkably similar to their wild ancestors. A domestic cat and a wild cat have almost identical DNA. The changes that domestication brought are subtle, mostly in temperament rather than appearance. Cats didn't need to change much because their job, their purpose, remained the same: catch small prey. They were useful exactly as they were. This is why cats retain so much of their wild nature. They are only semi-domesticated, really. They haven't fully surrendered to us the way dogs have. They maintain their independence, their ability to survive without us if necessary. A house cat released into the wild can often learn to hunt and fend for itself, can revert to wildness within a generation or two. This is why feral cat populations exist in cities and towns around the world. Colonies of cats living entirely without human care, hunting, breeding, surviving on their own terms. Feral cats are not the same as stray cats. A stray is a cat that was once socialized to humans but has been lost or abandoned. A feral cat was born wild, never handled by humans during the critical socialization period in its first few weeks of life, and is truly wild, as untouchable and wary as any wild animal. Feral cats live in colonies, usually organized around a food source, and they develop complex social structures. Female cats, the queens, often help raise each other's kittens communally. Males may come and go, but the females form the stable core of the colony. These colonies can persist for years, even generations. Cats living secret lives in the spaces between human activity, in alleyways and parking garages, beneath abandoned buildings, in city parks at night. They are ghosts, almost invisible, surfacing at dusk and dawn to hunt and patrol their territories. Some people feed them, putting out bowls of food, and the cats come to accept this, to anticipate it, but they never become tame. They remain just beyond reach, just outside our world, living parallel lives. There's something poignant about feral cats, something that speaks to the liminal nature of all cats, domestic and wild. They exist on a threshold, belonging fully to neither wilderness nor civilization, carrying both within them. Even the most pampered house cat, lounging on a velvet cushion, retains the instincts of a solitary hunter. Even the most feral street cat is still, genetically, a domestic animal, separated from true wildness by only the thinnest of veils. The wild ancestors of domestic cats still exist. The African wildcat, Felis sylvestris libica, roams the deserts and savannas of Africa and the Middle East, looking almost exactly like a lean, long-legged tabby house cat. These wildcats are solitary, territorial, mostly nocturnal. They hunt small mammals, birds, reptiles, insects. They are shy and elusive, rarely seen, slipping through the landscape like shadows. And somewhere in the distant past, some of these wildcats made a choice, or perhaps didn't make a choice, but simply found themselves adapting to the presence of humans, to the easy meals around grain stores, to a new way of living. And beyond the wildcats, there are the big cats, those magnificent predators that share ancestry with our small companions. Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, cheetahs, all of them in the family Felidae, all of them related, all sharing certain characteristics. The way they move, fluid and precise. The retractable claws, sharp and curved. The forward-facing eyes, the binocular vision of a hunter. The obligate carnivore digestive system designed only for meat. The grooming behavior, the scent marking, the territoriality. A lion's yawn looks just like a house cat's yawn. A tiger kneading with its paws before lying down mirrors the same behavior in a kitten. A leopard's eyes glowing in the dark use the same tapetum lucidum reflection as the eyes of the cat sleeping on your couch. The similarities are profound, reminding us that the small animal purring in our homes carries within it the essence of apex predators, of creatures powerful and dangerous and wild. But house cats are not just small tigers. They are their own thing, shaped by domestication, by thousands of years of living alongside us, by being small enough to be held, vulnerable enough to need us, tame enough to accept touch. They have become our companions in a way that wild cats never could, never would. They have learnt to vocalize to us, to meow in ways that adult cats rarely meow to each other, because they've learned that humans respond to sound, that we understand it better than scent or body language. Each meow is tailored to get a specific response. A cat learns what sounds work on its particular human. the chirping trill that means hello, the long, insistent meow that demands food, the soft, questioning mew that asks for attention, the loud, yowling protest that objects to closed doors or empty bowls. Cats don't meow much to each other as adults. Between themselves, rely on body language, on scent, on quieter sounds like purring or hissing or growling. The meow is largely a human-directed communication, developed because it works, because it gets results. This is sophisticated if you think about it. Cats have adapted not just physically, but behaviorally to living with us. They've learnt to communicate across species, to make themselves understood, to manipulate our emotions with their voices. They've figured out that certain sounds make humans respond with food or affection or open doors. It's a learned behavior, refined over a lifetime, each cat training its human as much as the human believes they're training the cat. And speaking of training, cats are often said to be untrainable, but this isn't true. Cats can learn, can be trained to do tricks, to come when called, to walk on leashes, to use toilets instead of litter boxes. The difference is that cats need to be motivated differently than dogs. A dog wants to please you, works for praise and approval. A cat wants to know what's in it for them. They're transactional. They'll perform behaviors that result in rewards they value, usually food, but sometimes play or affection. They're not stubborn or stupid. They're just not people pleasers. They're pragmatists. This independent nature is part of what draws people to cats. They choose to be with you. Their affection is given freely, not from obligation or submission, but from genuine preference. When a cat sits beside you, it's because it wants to. When it purrs under your hand, it's expressing real contentment. There's no performance in it, no eagerness to please, no anxiety about approval. It's pure, uncomplicated, honest. And perhaps that honesty is restful. Perhaps that independence allows us to relax, knowing we don't have to manage the cat's emotional state, don't have to be constantly engaged. The cat is fine on its own, and when it seeks us out, it means something. Cats knead with their front paws, pressing rhythmically into soft surfaces, into blankets or laps or cushions. Their claws extend and retract with each press. Sometimes they purr while they do this. Sometimes they drool a little, eyes half closed in bliss. This behavior comes from kittenhood. Kittens knead their mother's belly while nursing, stimulating milk flow, associating the motion with comfort and nourishment and safety. When adult cats knead, they're regressing to that infant state, feeling safe and content, expressing a kind of primal happiness. Some cats knead more than others. Some never seem to do it at all. It varies by individual temperament, by early experience, by the particular cat's emotional life. But when it happens, it's touching to witness. This echo of infancy, this vulnerability. The cat is telling you, in the only way it knows how, that it feels safe with you, that you remind it of its mother, that it trusts you completely. Cats have an excellent memory, particularly for things that matter to them. They remember locations, the layouts of houses they've lived in years ago. They remember people, recognizing individuals they haven't seen in months or years. They remember routines, knowing exactly when it's time to be fed, when their human usually comes home, when it's time to play. They remember dangers, places they've been frightened or hurt, and they avoid those places, sometimes for life. There are stories of cats traveling incredible distances to return home, navigating through unfamiliar territory to find their way back. While some of this might be explained by their keen senses, by following scent trails or using the Earth's magnetic field for orientation, it also speaks to memory, to the pull of familiar territory, to the cat's mental map of its world. Home is important to cats in a way that goes beyond mere shelter. It's their territory, marked with their scent, known in every corner, safe and theirs. Territory is central to cat psychology. In the wild, a cat's territory is its hunting ground, its resource base. Cats are not pack animals. They don't hunt cooperatively. Each cat needs its own space with enough prey to sustain it. They mark boundaries with scent, with scratching, with urine. They patrol these boundaries, defending them from intruders. Even domestic cats who don't need to hunt for survival retain this territorial nature. They feel most secure in familiar, controlled space. When you bring a new cat into a home that already has a cat, you're essentially asking one cat to surrender its territory or to share it, which goes against every instinct. This is why introductions must be slow, gradual, allowing cats time to adjust, to establish new boundaries, to determine whether coexistence is possible. Some cats adjust and even become friends. Others merely tolerate each other, maintaining separate spaces within the same home. And some never accept it, living in constant stress, constant conflict. It depends on the individual cats, their personalities, their past experiences, the resources available, and how carefully the introduction is managed. But cats can bond deeply with other cats and with humans. They form attachments, show clear preferences, seek out specific individuals for comfort and companionship. A bonded pair of cats will sleep together, groom each other, play together, and show distress when separated. They've chosen each other, and that choice runs deep. With humans, cats show attachment in various ways. They follow their person from room to room. They greet them at the door. They bring gifts, usually dead prey or toys, offerings that show both affection and a desire to provide. They sleep pressed against their human or on their human, seeking contact and warmth. They make eye contact and then blink slowly, a gesture that in cat language signals trust and affection, a kind of cat kiss. If you slow blink at a cat and it slow blinks back, you're having a conversation, an exchange of peaceful intent. Cats recognize their names, research has shown. When their name is spoken, their ears perk up, their heads turn slightly. They know you're addressing them. Whether they respond is another matter, depending on their mood, their interest level, and whether they feel like acknowledging you. This has led to cats having a reputation for ignoring people, but it's not that they don't understand. They understand perfectly. They just choose whether or not to care at any given moment. There are dozens of cat breeds now, developed over the past century or so, though cats have far fewer breeds than dogs, and the differences between them are more subtle. The Persian with its flat face and long, luxurious coat, the Siamese with its color point pattern and striking blue eyes, its loud, demanding voice. The Maine Coon, one of the largest domestic breeds, with tufted ears and a thick, shaggy coat, sociable and dog-like in its attachment to humans. The Sphinx, hairless and warm to the touch, wrinkled and alien-looking, surprisingly affectionate. The Russian Blue with its plush, silvery coat and emerald eyes. The Bengal, bred to resemble a wild leopard, spotted or marbled, athletic and energetic. The Ragdoll, large and docile, going limp when picked up, hence the name. The Scottish Fold with its unusual folded ears, giving it a round, owl-like appearance. The Abyssinian, sleek and ticked, one of the oldest breeds, resembling the cats depicted in ancient Egyptian art. Each breed has tendencies, general traits, but individual personality varies widely within breeds. A Persian might be calm and quiet, or surprisingly playful. A Siamese might be vocal or relatively quiet. Breed gives you a framework, a probability, but not a guarantee. Every cat is still an individual, shaped by genetics, yes, but also by experience, by environment, by the particular circumstances of its life. And of course, most cats in the world are not purebred, but domestic shorthairs or longhairs, mixed ancestry, carrying genes from many different cats, combinations that create infinite variety. These mixed breed cats are often healthier than purebreds, benefiting from genetic diversity. avoiding the problems that can come from breeding for specific traits. They come in every color, every pattern, every personality type. Coat colors and patterns in cats are determined by genetics, but the inheritance patterns are complex and fascinating. The orange color, for example, is sex-linked, carried on the X chromosome. Male cats with only one X chromosome are either orange or not orange. Female cats with two X chromosomes can be orange, not orange, or calico, a mix of orange and non-orange patches. This is why almost all calico and tortoiseshell cats are female. The rare male calico has an extra X chromosome, a genetic anomaly that usually results in sterility. The tabby pattern is the wild type, the default, the pattern of wild cats. Stripes or spots or swirls of darker color over a lighter base, each hair banded with different colors, creating the complex, beautiful pattern. Even solid-colored cats often carry the tabby gene, and in certain lights or in kittenhood, you can see ghost markings, faint stripes, spots showing through. White cats with blue eyes are often deaf, a genetic quirk where the same gene that causes white coat and blue eyes also affects development of the inner ear. Not all white cats are deaf, and not all deaf white cats are completely deaf, but there's a strong correlation. These cats adapt remarkably well to their disability, relying more heavily on their other senses, on vision and touch and vibration. They can live full, happy lives, though they must be kept indoors for safety. Black cats have been both revered and persecuted throughout history. In some cultures, they're considered lucky, bringers of good fortune. In others, they've been associated with witchcraft, with bad luck, with superstition and fear. During the Middle Ages in Europe, black cats were sometimes killed as servants of the devil, and this may have contributed to the spread of plague by reducing cat populations and allowing rat populations to explode. It's a cruel irony that fear of cats may have made the very disaster people feared much worse. Today, black cats are often the last to be adopted from shelters, passed over for more colourful cats, still haunted by old superstitions. But those who live with black cats speak of their beauty, the way their coats shine, solid and sleek, the way their eyes stand out, gold or green or copper, luminous against the dark fur. Black cats are cats like any other, no more or less lucky, no more or less affectionate, just cats, worthy of love and homes and long, peaceful lives. A cat's tail is a marvel of engineering, an extension of the spine containing up to 23 vertebrae, a third of all the bones in a cat's body. The tail provides balance, helping the cat walk along narrow surfaces, make tight turns at high speed, land on its feet when falling. But it's also a communication device, a flag that signals emotional state. A tail held high, straight up, with perhaps a slight curve at the tip, indicates confidence and happiness. A cat approaching you with tail high is greeting you, is happy to see you. A tail held low or tucked between the legs shows fear or submission. A tail lashing back and forth rapidly indicates agitation, frustration, anger. A tail puffed up, all the fur standing on end, making the tail look 2 or 3 times its normal size, is a fear response, an attempt to look larger and more threatening. A tail wrapped around another cat or around a human's leg is affectionate, a gesture of closeness. A tail quivering while held upright, especially when the cat is backing up to a vertical surface, precedes spraying, a scent-marking behavior. A tail held still, but with just the tip twitching, indicates focused attention, a cat concentrating on something, perhaps about to pounce. You can read a cat's intentions, a cat's mood, by watching the tail along with the rest of the body. Ears forward and tail up means a confident, happy cat. Ears back and tail lashing means an angry, defensive cat. Ears to the side, tail low, body crouched means a frightened cat. It's a language, and once you learn to read it, cats become less mysterious, more transparent in their feelings. Cats have a righting reflex, an ability to twist in mid-air and land on their feet when falling. This reflex begins to develop around 3 or 4 weeks of age and is usually fully developed by 7 weeks. It's made possible by the cat's flexible spine, the lack of a functional collarbone, which allows the front legs to move independently and turn freely, and an exceptional sense of balance, governed by the vestibular system in the inner ear. When a cat falls, it first rotates its head and front legs toward the ground, then arches its back to rotate the rear of its body, then extends all 4 legs and arches its back again to slow the descent. This happens in a fraction of a second, automatically, without thought. It's hardwired, instinctive, a survival mechanism that has saved countless cats from injury. However, this doesn't mean cats always survive falls or that they never get hurt. The height matters. Very short falls don't give the cat time to right itself. Extremely high falls can result in serious injury or death despite landing on their feet. There's an odd phenomenon called high-rise syndrome, where cats that fall from higher stories sometimes suffer fewer injuries than cats falling from mid-level heights, possibly because they reach terminal velocity and relax, spreading their bodies out to increase air resistance, effectively becoming small, furry parachutes. But cats should not be allowed in situations where they might fall from dangerous heights. They're curious and sometimes overconfident, misjudging distances or leaping after birds or insects without considering the drop. Windows in high-rise buildings should be screened. Balconies should be enclosed. Cats are good at surviving falls, but not invincible. And preventing the fall in the first place is always better than relying on the righting reflex. Cats are obligate carnivores, meaning they must eat meat to survive. Unlike omnivores, who can synthesize certain nutrients from plant matter, cats lack specific metabolic pathways. They cannot produce taurine, an amino acid essential for heart and eye health, from other amino acids. They cannot convert beta-carotene into vitamin A. They cannot produce enough niacin from tryptophan. All of these nutrients must come from animal tissue. This is why cats cannot be vegetarian or vegan. It's not a matter of preference or ethics, but of biology. A cat fed a plant-based diet will develop deficiencies that lead to blindness, heart disease, immune system failure, and death. Their digestive systems are short, designed to process meat quickly, to extract nutrients from animal protein and fat efficiently, but not equipped to break down plant material well. In the wild, cats eat their prey whole, consuming not just muscle meat, but organs, bones, fur, or feathers. The organs provide vitamins and minerals. The bones provide calcium and help clean teeth. Even the stomach contents of prey, partially digested plant matter, provide some fiber and plant nutrients. A wild cat's diet is varied and complete in a way that's hard to replicate with commercial cat food, though modern pet foods try, formulating recipes that meet all nutritional needs. Cats are also notorious for being picky eaters, though this varies by individual. Some cats will eat almost anything offered. Others refuse all but one specific food. This pickiness may be partly learned, cats fixating on familiar flavors and textures, wary of anything new. But it also has biological roots. Cats have fewer taste receptors than humans, only about 470 compared to our 9,000. They cannot taste sweetness at all, lacking the receptor for sweet flavors. What they can taste is amino acids, the building blocks of protein, which helps them identify meat. They rely heavily on smell to determine if something is food, which is why cats with respiratory infections often stop eating, their noses too congested to smell. Temperature matters too. Cats prefer food at around body temperature, the temperature of fresh prey. Cold food straight from the refrigerator is less appealing, the scent molecules less volatile, the texture less palatable. Warming food slightly can make it more attractive to a reluctant eater. And cats are sensitive to texture, some preferring pâté, others chunks in gravy, others dry kibble. They form preferences, sometimes mysteriously strong ones, refusing one texture entirely while accepting another. Water is essential, though cats have a relatively low thirst drive, another trait inherited from their desert-dwelling ancestors, who got most of their moisture from prey. Domestic cats should always have access to fresh water, but many don't drink enough, which can lead to urinary tract problems and kidney disease. Cats prefer running water to still water, perhaps because running water is less likely to be stagnant in nature. This is why many cats drink from faucets or prefer water fountains, the movement and sound attracting them. Some cats play with water, dipping their paws in bowls, splashing, making a mess. This might be testing the water, checking its depth and safety, or it might just be play, exploration, curiosity. Cats are playful creatures, especially when young, and play serves important functions. It teaches hunting skills, it provides exercise, it stimulates the mind, it builds bonds with other cats or with humans. Kitten play is adorable and chaotic. Littermates wrestling and chasing, pouncing on each other, on toys, on anything that moves. They practice the bite inhibition that keeps play from becoming harmful, learning how hard is too hard, what hurts and what doesn't. They learn to read each other's signals, when to stop, when to continue. This early play with siblings is crucial for social development. Kittens separated too early, before 7 or 8 weeks, often have behavioral problems later, playing too roughly, not understanding boundaries. As cats age, they often play less, but they don't stop entirely. Adult cats still enjoy play, especially play that mimics hunting, stalking a feather toy, chasing a ball, pouncing on a toy mouse. Play keeps them mentally sharp and physically active, helps prevent obesity, provides an outlet for predatory instincts that otherwise have no expression in a domestic setting. Interactive play with humans strengthens the bond between cat and person. It's time spent together, focused on the cat's needs and enjoyments, communication through shared activity. A cat that plays with you trusts you, feels safe enough to be vulnerable, to engage in behavior that in the wild would leave it distracted and exposed. It's another form of affection, another way that cats show they feel at home. Cats sleep so much partly because they're predators. Hunting, when it happens, is intensely energy demanding, requiring bursts of speed and power. Between hunts, conserving energy makes sense. Sleep allows the body to repair, to build muscle, to process experiences and memories. For domestic cats who no longer need to hunt, the instinct to rest between bouts of activity remains. They might run and play intensely for 10 or 15 minutes, then collapse into sleep for hours. The sleeping positions cats adopt are varied and sometimes comical. The classic curled ball, tail wrapped around the nose, conserves heat and protects vital organs. The stretched out loaf, paws tucked under, is a relaxed but alert position. The side sprawl, legs extended, belly exposed, indicates complete trust and deep relaxation, belly being the most vulnerable part. The upside-down sleep, on the back with paws in the air, is the ultimate expression of security and comfort, a position only assumed when a cat feels completely safe. Where a cat chooses to sleep tells you something too. High places, like the tops of bookcases or cat trees, satisfy the instinct to survey territory from a safe vantage point. Enclosed spaces, like boxes or cat beds with sides, provide security, a protected, den-like feeling. Warm places, like sunny windowsills or spots near heaters, appeal to cats who seek out warmth, their higher body temperature making them more sensitive to cold than we are. A cat sleeping on your bed or on you is choosing your presence over solitude, your scent and warmth over alternatives. Cats are crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, because that's when their prey is most active. Rodents venture out during twilight, and cats have evolved to match this schedule. This is why your cat might wake you at 4 or 5 in the morning, full of energy, ready to play or eat. It's not trying to annoy you, it's following ancient patterns, biological imperatives that don't care about your work schedule. Adjusting to human schedules is possible, but goes against the grain. You can encourage a cat to sleep through the night by playing with it in the evening, wearing it out, feeding it a large meal before bed so it's satisfied and sleepy. But some cats will always have that dawn burst of energy, that need to patrol and hunt when the light is dim and the world is quiet. In multi-cat households, the cats often synchronize their schedules to some degree, especially if they're bonded. They'll sleep together, wake together, play together. But they also maintain individual patterns, different cats having different preferences, different energy levels, different needs. Watching cats in a household over time, you see these patterns emerge. The social structure, who's dominant, who's submissive, who's friends with whom, who avoids whom. Dominance in cats is not as rigid or clear-cut as in some other social species. It's situational, context-dependent. One cat might control access to the best sleeping spot, while another controls feeding areas, and another dominates during play. Outright fighting is rare among cats who live together successfully. They work out their relationships through posturing, through small gestures, through avoidance. A dominant cat stares, and the submissive cat looks away. A dominant cat walks through a space, and the other cats yield, moving aside. It's subtle, mostly peaceful. When fights do occur, they're usually between cats who haven't established a relationship, strangers meeting on contested territory. The fights are loud and dramatic, much hissing and yowling, meant to intimidate and avoid actual combat. If one cat backs down, that's often the end of it. But if both hold their ground, the fight escalates to swatting, biting, wrestling. Even then, serious injuries are uncommon. The goal is to drive the other cat away, not to kill or severely harm. After a fight, both cats will usually groom themselves extensively, a displacement behavior that helps them calm down, regain composure. The grooming refocuses their attention, lowers their heart rate, lets the adrenaline dissipate. It's self-soothing, a way to reset emotionally. Cat communication is sophisticated and multi-layered. Beyond vocalizations and body language, there's touch. Cats rub against things and people with their cheeks and bodies, depositing scent and also seeking sensory input, the feeling of contact. Head bunting, when a cat bumps its head against you, is a strong sign of affection and trust, the cat sharing its scent with you, mingling identities. When cats touch noses, it's a greeting, a check-in, equivalent to a handshake or hello. They're exchanging scent information, confirming identity, assessing mood. It's brief, just a quick tap of noses, but it's loaded with meaning, with social nuance. Cats also communicate through the sounds they make with their bodies, not vocalizations, but mechanical sounds. The chattering or chirping sound a cat makes when watching birds through a window, a rapid clicking of teeth, might be frustration or excitement, or a hunting reflex, a practice motion. The slow, heavy footfalls of a cat stalking are deliberate, controlled, designed for stealth. The frantic skittering of a cat racing through the house, what's sometimes called the zoomies, is a release of energy, playfulness, joy in movement. These moments of wild activity are normal and healthy, especially in indoor cats, who need to burn off energy that would be expended in outdoor hunting and exploration. It's startling sometimes, A cat suddenly racing from room to room for no apparent reason. But it's just the cat being a cat, expressing its nature, engaging in behavior that feels good, that satisfies something deep and instinctive. Cats also have moments of stillness, of sitting and staring at nothing we can see. They might be listening to sounds beyond our hearing range, the ultrasonic squeaks of rodents, the hum of electronics, the movement of insects in the walls. They might be seeing something we can't, a floating dust mote catching light, a tiny spider on the ceiling. Or they might simply be resting their minds, thinking cat thoughts, processing their day, existing in the moment without purpose or goal. There's a peacefulness to watching a cat at rest, a cat simply being. It reminds us that we too can just be, that we don't always need to be doing, producing, achieving. The cat on the windowsill, watching clouds or leaves or birds, is engaged in an activity that has no productivity, no output, no measurable value. It's observation for its own sake, presence for its own sake, existence for its own sake. And yet it seems profoundly satisfying to the cat, this watching, this stillness. In our busy, noisy, demanding world, there's something deeply calming about a cat's way of being. They live in the present moment. They don't worry about tomorrow or regret yesterday. They respond to what's in front of them, to hunger and comfort and threat and opportunity. But they don't project into the future or ruminate on the past the way we do. When they're comfortable, they're fully comfortable. When they're playing, they're fully engaged in play. When they're sleeping, they're completely surrendered to sleep. Perhaps this is part of why living with a cat can be soothing, why the presence of a cat can lower blood pressure and reduce stress. They model a different way of existing, a simpler relationship with time and emotion. They don't carry tension in the same way we do. They discharge it through grooming, through play, through sleep. They return to baseline, to calm, to rest. Scientific studies have shown that cat owners have lower rates of heart disease and stroke, that petting a cat reduces stress hormones, that the presence of a cat can ease loneliness and depression. Some of this is the physical contact, the warmth and softness, the purring vibration. Some is the routine and responsibility, the structure that caring for another living being provides. Some is the companionship, the non-judgmental presence, the affection that asks nothing in return but food and care. Therapy cats visit hospitals, nursing homes, schools, disaster sites, providing comfort to people in crisis or pain. These cats, temperamentally suited to the work, tolerant of handling, calm in strange environments, seem to understand on some level that they're needed. They purr and sit still and allow themselves to be petted by stranger after stranger, giving and giving, asking little in return. Not every cat is suited to this work. Many cats would find it terrifying and stressful. But the ones who are suited, who seem to genuinely enjoy the contact, the attention, the variety, are remarkable. They're ambassadors for their species, showing the healing potential of the human-animal bond. Even in ordinary homes, cats serve as healers in their way. They're attuned to their humans' emotional states, often seeking out someone who's sad or sick, curling up beside them, offering their warm, purring presence. Whether they truly understand that the person is unwell or are simply responding to changed behavior, to the fact that the person is staying still and therefore makes a good sleeping companion, doesn't really matter. The effect is the same. The comfort is real. There's an old saying that cats choose their people, and there's truth in it. A cat that wants to be near you, that follows you and seeks your attention, has made a choice. Cats form attachments based on positive associations, on who feeds them and plays with them and provides comfort, but also on something less tangible: personality fit, temperament matching. Some cats prefer quiet people, some like energetic people, some bond with children, some prefer adults. It's individual, specific, a matter of preference and chemistry. When a cat sits beside you while you read or work, not demanding attention but simply being near, it's showing a form of love, cat style. It's choosing your company over solitude. It's relaxed enough in your presence to lower its guard, to rest. Trust and affection in cats are shown not through desperate clinging or constant demands, but through this quiet companionship, this willingness to share space. The lifespan of a domestic cat averages 15 to 20 years, though some live much longer. The oldest verified cat lived to be 38 years old. Cats age faster than humans in their early years, a 1-year-old cat being roughly equivalent to a 15-year-old human, a 2-year-old cat equivalent to a 25-year-old human. After that, each cat year equals about 4 human years. As cats age, they slow down, they sleep even more, they play less. They may become less tolerant of other cats or of changes in routine. Their senses dull, vision and hearing declining, though their sense of smell usually remains sharp. They may develop arthritis, moving more stiffly, jumping less readily onto high places. They may lose weight, muscle mass decreasing, or gain weight if they're less active but still eating the same amount. Senior cats need different care, gentler handling, easier access to food and water and litter boxes, perhaps special diets, certainly more frequent veterinary checkups. But they remain themselves, their personalities intact, even as their bodies fail. A cat that was cuddly in youth usually remains cuddly in old age. A cat that was independent stays independent. The core of who they are persists. And when the end comes, when age or illness makes life more pain than pleasure, the decision to euthanize is one of the hardest a cat owner makes. But it's also a final kindness, a gift of a peaceful death, surrounded by familiar people and scents, without suffering, without fear. Cats in the wild die hard deaths, from injury or starvation or predation. Domestic cats can be spared that. We owe them that mercy. Grief for a cat is real and valid. The pain of loss is proportional not to the size of the creature, but to the size of the bond. A cat that has shared your life for years, that has been a constant presence, a source of comfort and joy and routine, leaves a hole when it goes. The empty spot on the bed, the silence where purring used to be, the automatic reaching for the can opener at feeding time before remembering. It takes time to adjust, to accept, to heal. Some people adopt another cat soon after, needing that presence, that purpose. Others wait, needing time to grieve before opening their hearts again. There's no right way. Every person, every grief is different. But most who've loved a cat do eventually love another, do eventually welcome another small life into their home, do eventually make new memories while holding onto the old ones. Each cat is unique, irreplaceable, but the experience of loving a cat, of sharing life with a cat, is something that can be experienced again with a new individual, a new personality, a new set of quirks and charms and frustrations. It's not replacing what was lost, but honoring it by continuing the relationship. By choosing again to open yourself to the particular joys and sorrows of caring for a small, independent, beautiful creature. Cats in art and literature appear throughout history. Ancient Egyptian paintings and sculptures, Japanese woodblock prints, medieval manuscripts with cats in margins, chasing mice or playing, or simply sitting. The Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, appearing and disappearing, cryptic and grinning. T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, celebrating cat diversity and character. Hemingway's cats, the six-toed descendants of which still live at his home in Key West. Writers and artists have long been drawn to cats, perhaps because both cats and creative work require solitude, observation, patience. A cat is an ideal companion for someone who spends hours at a desk, providing company without demanding constant interaction, a warm presence nearby while the work absorbs attention. Many famous writers kept cats, found inspiration or comfort in them, wrote about them, or simply enjoyed their company in the quiet spaces between words. Cats in folklore and mythology appear as witches' familiars, as shapeshifters, as guardians of the underworld, as symbols of independence and mystery. In Japanese folklore, the bakaneko and nekomata are supernatural cats with powers to transform, to speak, to bring good or ill fortune. The maneki neko, the beckoning cat figurine, is a common symbol of luck and prosperity, its raised paw welcoming customers and good fortune. In Celtic mythology, the cat Sith is a fairy creature, a large black cat with a white spot on its chest, said to steal souls. In Norse mythology, Freya's chariot is pulled by cats, large and powerful, chosen for their strength and connection to feminine power. Across cultures, cats occupy a liminal space between domestic and wild, between known and mysterious, between this world and others. This perception of cats as magical or otherworldly stems partly from their behavior, their ability to see in darkness, to move silently, to appear and disappear, to sense things we cannot. It stems from their independence, their resistance to complete domestication, their retention of wildness. And it stems from their eyes, those eyes that seem to look through you, that reflect light so strangely, that hold intelligence and calculation, and something we can't quite read or understand. A cat's eyes are beautiful, endlessly varied in color and expression. The deep copper of an orange tabby, the emerald green of a Russian blue, the sapphire blue of a Siamese or Burman. The odd eyes of some white cats, one blue and one gold, each eye a different world. The shape of the pupil changes with light, narrowing to a slit in bright conditions, expanding to nearly fill the iris in darkness. You can gauge a cat's emotional state partly by pupil size as well. Very dilated pupils indicating excitement or fear, very narrow pupils indicating aggression or contentment, depending on context. Kittens are born with blue eyes, the color changing as they mature, pigmentation developing over weeks or months. Some cats retain blue eyes, others shift to green or gold or copper. The final color is usually apparent by 3 or 4 months of age. Kittens are born helpless, eyes sealed shut, ears folded closed, unable to regulate their own body temperature. They weigh only a few ounces, small enough to fit in a human palm. For the first weeks of life, they rely entirely on their mother for everything: warmth, food, stimulation to eliminate waste. They nurse frequently, sleep between nursing, grow rapidly. Around 10 days old, their eyes begin to open, revealing those baby blues, unfocused at first, gradually sharpening. Their ears unfold and they begin to hear. They start to move more purposefully, crawling, attempting to stand on wobbly legs. By 3 weeks, they're walking, exploring, beginning to play with each other. By 4 weeks, they're running, jumping, getting into everything, their personalities starting to emerge. This is the critical socialization period, between 2 and 7 weeks of age, when kittens learn what's safe and normal. Kittens handled gently by humans during this time usually grow into friendly, affectionate cats. Kittens not exposed to humans until after this period often remain fearful and wild. It's a window of opportunity, a developmental stage when the brain is especially plastic, especially open to forming positive associations. Responsible breeders and rescuers handle kittens daily, expose them to various sights and sounds, to different people, to gentle dogs if possible, creating confident, well-adjusted cats. Kittens from the same litter, given the same early experiences, can still develop very different personalities. Genetics plays a role, individual temperament existing from birth, some kittens bold and others shy, some affectionate and others aloof. Mother cats teach their kittens essential skills: how to groom, how to use a litter box, how to hunt. She brings them prey, first dead, then injured, then alive, allowing them to practice killing, teaching them the techniques. Without this teaching, domestic cats can still hunt. The instinct is strong, but they may be less efficient, less skilled. House cats who've never been taught by their mothers sometimes catch prey but don't know what to do with it, confused by their own instinct. The bond between mother cat and kittens is intense during those early weeks. She grooms them constantly, licking them clean, stimulating digestion, comforting them. She purrs to them, a steady vibration that guides them to her even before they can see or hear. She moves them if she senses danger, picking them up by the scruff of the neck, carrying them one by one to a new location. She defends them fiercely, hissing and swatting at anything that approaches, even trusted humans. But as the kittens grow, as they begin to eat solid food and become independent, she gradually pushes them away. She stops nursing, leaves them more often, becomes less tolerant of their demands. By 12 weeks, the family bond is dissolving. In the wild, the kittens would disperse, finding their own territories, living solitary lives except for mating. In domestic settings, they might stay together, especially females, forming small colonies if resources allow. Cats reach sexual maturity young, often by 5 or 6 months, which is why spaying and neutering is important for pet cats. An unspayed female can have multiple litters per year, each litter containing 4 to 6 kittens on average. The numbers explode quickly, contributing to overpopulation, to stray and feral colonies, to the millions of cats euthanized in shelters each year for lack of homes. Spaying and neutering also improves behavior, reducing spraying and roaming in males, eliminating the loud, disruptive heat cycles in females. Female cats in heat yowl, roll on the floor, raise their hindquarters, trying desperately to attract males. It's uncomfortable for the cat and disruptive for the household. Male cats that smell a female in heat will do almost anything to reach her, fighting other males, escaping from houses, traveling long distances. The mating process itself is brief and violent by human standards. The male bites the female's neck to hold her still. The act of mating is painful for the female, the male's penis being covered in small spines that scrape the vaginal walls. This painful stimulus triggers ovulation, cats being induced ovulators rather than cycling regularly. The female often swats at the male and yowls when he dismounts. But she may mate with multiple males over the course of her heat, which is why kittens in a litter can have different fathers. Pregnancy lasts about 65 days. As birth approaches, the female seeks out a safe, quiet place, a den where she can give birth in privacy. She may become restless, nesting, rearranging bedding, meowing more. Labor begins with contractions, and the kittens are born one at a time, each in its own amniotic sac. The mother breaks the sac, licks the kitten clean, stimulates its breathing, bites through the umbilical cord, eats the placenta. It's instinctive, efficient, usually completed without complication. Within minutes of birth, the kittens are nursing, drawn to the scent of milk, to the warmth of the mother's body. And the cycle begins again, life perpetuating itself, the ancient pattern repeating. But most pet cats are spayed or neutered, living out their lives without ever reproducing, without ever experiencing the drives and behaviors related to mating. In one sense, this is a loss, a denial of a fundamental biological imperative. In another sense, it's a gift, freedom from those drives, from the stress and danger of mating and pregnancy and birth. The ability to simply be a cat without the compulsion to reproduce. Cats adapt to this altered state without apparent distress. They don't mourn the kittens they never had. They don't seem to feel incomplete. They live in the present, responding to current conditions, current needs. If they're fed and safe and comfortable, they're content. That's enough. This adaptability, this ability to live in the moment, to find contentment in simple things, is part of what makes cats such resilient creatures. They've survived alongside humans for thousands of years, not by changing who they are fundamentally, but by being flexible enough to fit into our world without losing themselves. They're still hunters, still territorial, still independent, still mysterious. But they're also companions, comforters, friends. The relationship between humans and cats is unique among domesticated animals. Dogs have been selectively bred for specific purposes: herding, guarding, hunting, companionship. Horses have been bred for riding, for pulling loads, for war. Cattle for meat and milk. Chickens for eggs. But cats? Cats were bred, if they were bred intentionally at all, simply to be cats. To catch mice. To be small enough to live in houses. To tolerate human presence. Beyond that, we left them alone. Let them be themselves. And perhaps that's the secret to the relationship's success and longevity. We didn't try to make cats into something they're not. We didn't demand complete obedience or reshape them into tools. We let them remain essentially wild while living tame lives. We gave them shelter and food in exchange for pest control and company. It was and remains a partnership of equals, more or less. Cats can survive without us. We can survive without cats. But we've chosen each other anyway, again and again, across millennia. There's something profound in that choice, in the cat that comes to sit beside you, that chooses your lap over the sunny spot on the floor, that purrs when you stroke its head. It didn't have to. You didn't force it. It came because it wanted to, because in that moment, your presence provided something it valued. Warmth, maybe. Safety. Affection. Or simply company. Another warm-blooded creature nearby in the vastness of existence. And isn't that all any of us really want? To be chosen, to be valued, to share space with another being in peace and comfort, to not be alone. Cats offer that. They share their lives with us, brief as those lives are compared to ours. They give us their trust, hard-won with any cat, but especially with rescues, with cats who've known abandonment or abuse, cats who've learned that humans can hurt as well as help. When such a cat finally relaxes, finally purrs, finally curls up in a lap after months or years of wariness, it's a victory, a testament to patience and kindness, a proof that trust can be rebuilt, that wounds can heal. Every cat that finds a home after being lost or abandoned, every cat pulled from a shelter and given a second chance, every feral kitten that learns to trust human touch is a small story of redemption, of hope, of love overcoming fear. Cat rescue and welfare organizations work tirelessly to save cats, to provide medical care, to socialize and adopt out as many as possible. Volunteers foster litters of kittens, bottle feeding the tiniest ones, staying up through the night to keep them warm and fed. Others trap new-to-return feral cats, humanely controlling populations while allowing the cats to live out their lives. Others educate about responsible ownership, about spaying and neutering, about the commitment that taking a cat into your home requires. It's hard work, often heartbreaking, always underfunded, but it's driven by love, by the conviction that these small lives matter, that every cat deserves safety and care, that we as a society have a responsibility to the animals we've domesticated and then, too often, discarded. And the cats, oblivious to the debates about overpopulation and resource allocation and ethics, simply live. They hunt or are fed. They sleep in sun or shadow. They groom themselves, play with each other or with toys, watch the world with those inscrutable eyes. They exist, and their existence has value, has beauty, has meaning, even if only to themselves, even if only in the moment. A cat exists not to serve a purpose, but simply to be. And perhaps there's a lesson in that for us, in this world that constantly demands productivity and purpose and justification. Perhaps we too can sometimes simply be, can sit and watch clouds, can rest without guilt, can find contentment in a patch of sunlight, in a soft blanket, in the company of another being who asks nothing but presence. The cats are teachers in this, whether they mean to be or not. They demonstrate another way of living, not better or worse than ours, just different. Simpler in some ways, more complicated in others. Their sensory worlds so rich, their communications so nuanced, their inner lives so private. We share our homes with creatures we can never fully understand, can never fully know. There's always something held back, something unknowable, some core of catness that remains mysterious no matter how long we observe, how much we learn. And maybe that's good. Maybe that mystery is part of the appeal. Maybe we need things in our lives that we can't completely grasp, can't reduce to data and explanation. A cat on a windowsill, silhouetted against twilight, is a figure of mystery and grace. The curve of its back, the stillness of its watching, the patience. What is it seeing? What is it thinking? We can guess, infer, project, but we can't know, not really, not fully. And that unknowing, that gap between species, between minds, is not a failure, but a feature. A reminder that we're not alone in having inner lives, in experiencing the world subjectively, in being more than what we appear. Intelligence in animals is hard to measure, hard even to define. Cats aren't like dogs, eager to please, to perform. They're not like primates, with hands that manipulate tools, with social structures that mirror ours. They're not like dolphins or elephants, with their elaborate communication. Cats are something else, adapted for a solitary, predatory lifestyle, intelligent in ways that serve those needs. They learn quickly when motivated, remembering locations of food, litter boxes, favorite sleeping spots after being shown once. They solve problems, figuring out how to open doors, jump to high shelves, get into closed cabinets. They recognize patterns. Knowing the sound of a can opener means food. The rustling of a treat bag means treats. The appearance of a carrier means a vet visit. They recognize individuals, human and feline, and remember them for years. They can distinguish their owner's car sound from other cars, their owner's footsteps from other footsteps. They know their names, as mentioned before, and can learn other words and phrases associated with activities they care about. Food, play, outside, bedtime. Some cats are more intelligent than others, just like humans, or perhaps more accurately, some cats are more willing to demonstrate their intelligence, more motivated to engage with problems and challenges. A bored cat is often a smart cat, needing more stimulation, more enrichment, more challenge than its environment provides. Enrichment for indoor cats is important, providing opportunities for natural behaviors, climbing, scratching, hiding, hunting. Cat trees offer vertical space, satisfying the urge to be up high. Scratching posts protect furniture while allowing necessary claw maintenance. Boxes and tunnels provide hiding spots, security. Puzzle feeders make cats work for food. engaging their problem-solving skills and slowing down eating. Toys that mimic prey, feathers, small furry mice, things that move unpredictably, trigger hunting behavior. Window perches let cats watch the outside world, providing endless entertainment, the birds and squirrels and passing people like a live television show. Some people create catios, enclosed outdoor spaces where cats can safely experience fresh air, sunshine, grass, sounds and smells of nature without the dangers of free roaming. Indoor cats live longer, safer lives than outdoor cats, protected from cars, predators, diseases, poisoning, getting lost or stolen. But they need that enrichment, that stimulation, to compensate for the restricted space and reduced novelty. A well-enriched indoor cat can be just as happy and healthy as an outdoor cat without the risks. The question of whether to let cats outdoors is contentious. Some argue cats need outdoor access to be truly happy, to express natural behaviors. Others point to the dangers to cats and the impact on wildlife, birds and small mammals decimated by cat predation. The truth is probably somewhere in between, dependent on location, on individual cats, on available resources. In rural areas with low car traffic and few predators, outdoor access might be relatively safe. In cities, it's dangerous, with traffic and poison and cruel humans all posing threats. In areas with vulnerable wildlife populations, cat predation can be devastating. In areas where wildlife is abundant and adaptable, the impact might be minimal. Supervised outdoor time, harness training, catios all offer compromises, ways to give cats outdoor experiences without the full risks of free roaming. But many cats adapt perfectly well to indoor-only lives, especially if they've never known differently, if the indoor environment meets their needs. And their needs really are not so complicated. Safety, food, water, comfort, stimulation, affection from those they're bonded to, space to rest, to play, to be alone when desired. It's not so different from what we need in the end. We're both mammals, both social to some degree, both needing security and sustenance and connection. The parallel between human and cat needs, human and cat emotions, is part of what allows the bond to form. We recognize in cats feelings we ourselves experience. The fear of a threatened cat mirrors our own. Fear. The contentment of a purring cat mirrors our own contentment. The playfulness, the curiosity, the desire for comfort and safety all resonate with our own inner life. This recognition, this empathy across species is a beautiful thing. It reminds us we're part of a larger web of life, connected to other beings, responsible for them to some degree, capable of affecting their happiness or misery by our choices and actions. When you stroke a cat's head and it leans into your hand, you're both participating in a moment of connection, a moment of mutual pleasure. The cat enjoys the touch, the attention. You enjoy the softness of the fur, the warmth, the purring response. You're both here, now, together. Two consciousnesses meeting across the divide of species, of language, of different ways of being in the world. And in that moment, nothing else matters. Not the past, not the future, not the problems waiting outside this quiet space. Just the cat, and your hand, and the purring, and the peace of it. Time slows, breathing deepens, thoughts quiet. It's a form of meditation, perhaps, this simple act of petting a cat, being with a cat, letting yourself be present with another living being. The rhythm of petting, the repetitive motion, is soothing in itself. Stroke after stroke, following the direction of the fur, the warmth of the body beneath, the small shifts and adjustments the cat makes, moving slightly to direct your hand to favorite spots. Behind the ears, under the chin, the spot at the base of the tail. Each cat has preferences, places that make them purr louder, close their eyes, sometimes drool a little in utter bliss. Learning your cat's preferences, learning to read its body language, is an ongoing process, a conversation over time. You learn that ears flattened means stop, that a twitching tail means the cat is reaching its limit, that a shift in position might be an invitation to pet the belly, or a test of whether you know better than to try. You learn when the cat wants attention and when it wants to be left alone, when it's playful and when it's tired, when it's hungry and when it's just bored. This learning goes both ways. The cat is learning you too, learning your patterns and moods, your routines and reactions. It learns when you wake up, when you come home, when you're likely to play or feed or give treats. It learns the sound of your voice, the meaning of your tone, the difference between a happy greeting and an irritated command. It learns which of your moods means you're welcome company and which means you need space. This mutual learning, this gradual understanding, is the foundation of the relationship. You become familiar to each other, predictable in comforting ways, reading each other's signals with increasing accuracy. The cat that runs to greet you at the door isn't performing some trained behavior, but is genuinely happy you're home, anticipating food or play, or simply the restoration of its world too. Proper order. You are part of its territory, part of its routine, part of its security. Your absence was noticed. Your return is welcomed. There's loyalty in cats, though it looks different from dog loyalty. A cat won't follow you everywhere, won't gaze at you adoringly, won't perform on command to please you. But it remembers you, it returns to you. It seeks you out when it wants comfort or company. It trusts you with its vulnerability, sleeping near you, showing you its belly, purring in your presence. For a cat, a creature programmed for independence and self-sufficiency, to choose connection, to choose presence, is significant. Some cats bond so strongly with one person that they grieve when separated, refusing food, searching the house, crying. This happens when owners die or when cats are rehomed. The cat doesn't understand where its person went, only that they're gone, and the loss creates genuine distress. Time usually heals this, the cat eventually accepting a new person, a new home, forming new bonds. But the initial grief is real, evidence of attachment, of love in whatever form cats experience that emotion. Do cats love? It's a question people argue about. Some insisting cats are too selfish, too independent, too alien in their thinking to feel what we call love. Others are certain their cats love them, pointing to the behaviors, the purring and kneading and greeting, the seeking of closeness, the distress at separation. Perhaps the answer is that cats feel something analogous to love, something that serves the same function, creating bonds, motivating proximity, making the cat prefer certain individuals over others. Whether we call it love or attachment or bonding or preference doesn't really matter. The feeling is real, the behavior is observable. The cat chooses you again and again in small ways throughout each day. And you choose the cat, taking on the responsibility of care, the financial cost, the time commitment, the inevitable grief when life ends. You choose it because the relationship gives you something valuable, something worth the cost. Companionship, certainly. Entertainment, the daily small dramas of cat behavior. Beauty, the grace and elegance of the animal. Comfort, the warmth and softness and purring. Connection, the sense of being chosen and needed and important to another being. Routine, the structure that caring for a cat imposes on your days. Purpose, the knowledge that you're responsible for this life, that your actions matter to this creature. For people who live alone, a cat can be the difference between loneliness and company. The house is not empty when there's a cat in it. There's life, movement, sound. Someone to talk to, even if they don't talk back in words. Someone to care for, to think about, to plan around. Someone waiting at home. It changes how a place feels. Having a cat there makes it warmer, more alive, more like a home and less like just a space. For children, growing up with a cat teaches responsibility, empathy, gentleness, respect for boundaries. A cat won't tolerate rough handling the way a dog might. A child must learn to approach softly, to pet gently, to read the signals that say stop or not now. They learn that another creature has its own wants and needs, its own personality, its own preferences. They learn to care for something more vulnerable than themselves. And they learn about death eventually, because cats don't live as long as humans. And most children who grow up with a cat will experience the death of that cat. It's painful, perhaps the first real grief many children experience. But it's also preparation, practice in a sense, for the losses that are inevitable in life. Learning that love and loss are intertwined, that we can survive grief, that the joy of having loved is worth the pain of losing. The cat, of course, knows nothing of these lessons, these meanings we extract from its existence. It simply lives. It eats and sleeps and plays and grooms. It watches and waits and occasionally interacts. It exists in its own cat reality, experiencing the world through its cat senses, thinking cat thoughts, feeling cat feelings, being wholly and completely itself. And maybe there's a lesson in that too, in being wholly and completely yourself, not trying to be anything else, not apologizing for your nature, not changing to please others. Cats are authentic in a way that's rare. A cat never pretends to be happy when it's not, never forces affection it doesn't feel, never performs enthusiasm for your benefit. When a cat purrs, it means it. When a cat sits beside you, it wants to. There's no social mask, no polite pretense, just honest expression of genuine feeling. Humans could learn from this, perhaps, to be more honest in our expressions, more authentic in our connections, less concerned with performance and more focused on genuine feeling. To rest when we're tired without guilt. To play when we feel playful without self-consciousness. To ask for what we need without apology. To set boundaries without explanation. To simply be without constantly justifying our existence through productivity or achievement. The world would be quieter, maybe, slower, more restful, more like a cat's world, where what matters is immediate and concrete. Food, safety, comfort, connection. Not abstract worries, not distant fears, not hypothetical problems. Just now, just this, just the present moment unfolding. Watching a cat sleep, truly observing it, you see the absolute surrender to rest. No tension in the body, no thoughts racing, no resistance to stillness. The cat is completely at peace, completely relaxed, completely trusting that the world will be there when it wakes, that sleep is safe, that it can let go entirely. This is what we seek when we lie down at night, this complete letting go. But for many of us, it's elusive. The mind continues, worries intrude, the body holds tension. Sleep becomes something to chase, to struggle for, rather than something to simply allow. Perhaps thinking of a sleeping cat can help. Imagining that perfect relaxation, that complete trust, that utter surrender. Not forcing sleep, but inviting it, welcoming it, allowing it to come naturally the way it comes to a cat who has found a warm, safe spot and simply closes its eyes and lets consciousness slip away. Your body knows how to sleep. It's done it thousands of times. You don't have to teach it or remind it or manage it. You just have to allow it, to stop fighting it, to trust the process the way a cat trusts. The cat doesn't worry about whether it will sleep well enough, doesn't analyze its sleep quality, doesn't set performance goals for rest. It just sleeps and wakes and sleeps again, following the natural rhythm, listening to the body's needs. You can do the same. You can let your body be heavy, sinking into the mattress, into the pillows, letting go of the effort of holding yourself up, holding yourself together. You can let your breathing slow and deepen, not forcing it, but allowing it, following it, noticing the cool air in and the warm air out, the gentle rise and fall of your chest. You can let your thoughts drift, not grabbing onto them, not following them to conclusions, just letting them float by like clouds, here and then gone. You can imagine a cat curled beside you, warm and purring, that low vibration, steady and hypnotic. You can feel the weight of it, the warmth, the softness of fur. Even if no real cat is there, the imagination is enough. The memory of that feeling, the idea of that comfort. Your body responds to imagination almost as it responds to reality, relaxing, warming, releasing tension. Breathe with the imaginary cat's purr. In and out, slow and steady, the rhythm of rest, the rhythm of peace. There's nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to be, nothing demanding your attention, just this quiet, this dark, this softness, this moment of surrender. The cats of the world are sleeping now, thousands and millions of them, in homes and alleys, in barns and shelters, on windowsills and in laps, under bushes and in cardboard boxes. All those small bodies curled into themselves, all those quiet heartbeats, all those gentle breaths, all that sleep, all that rest, all that peace multiplied across the world. You're part of that now, part of the great resting, the necessary surrender that allows life to continue, allows bodies to repair, allows consciousness to process and integrate and prepare for tomorrow. Sleep is not a waste of time, but a fundamental need, as essential as food or water. The state in which healing happens, growth occurs, memories consolidate. The cats know this. They honor sleep, give it the time and attention it deserves, never skimp on rest to achieve more productivity. They sleep when they're tired, wake when they're rested, and trust that this is enough, that they're doing what they're meant to do. And you can trust this too. You can trust that sleep will come, that rest will happen, that your body knows what it needs and how to get it. You don't have to control every moment, every breath, every thought. You can just let go, just drift, just allow yourself to be carried down into sleep the way a leaf is carried downstream, effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. The story of cats continues without you now. They'll keep sleeping, keep waking, keep living their mysterious cat lives. But your part in this story, for tonight, is simply to rest, to join the cats in their nightly surrender, to close your eyes and let everything else fall away. The facts and the wondering, the questions and the curiosity, all of it can wait for morning. Now there's only sleep, only rest, only this gentle fading, this soft dissolving of consciousness into dreams or into darkness. Either way is fine. Both are rest. Both are good. Both are exactly what you need. The cats are sleeping. The world continues turning. And you can finally let yourself fall, let yourself sink, let yourself surrender completely into the waiting warmth of sleep. There's nothing left to know, nothing left to learn tonight. Only sleep now, only rest, only this gentle, endless drifting down into peace, into quiet, into the deep and dreamless comfort where nothing stirs and everything is still, and you are safe and warm and held by the darkness, by the softness, by the ancient rhythm that rocks all creatures to sleep beneath the watching stars. Sleep now. Sleep like a cat in sunshine. Sleep like a kitten with its mother. Sleep like you've always known how to sleep. Deep and true and complete. Let the purring carry you down. Let the softness hold you. Let the peace of cats, the peace of rest, the peace of simply being fill you completely until there's nothing left but sleep, sweet sleep. The best gift you can give yourself tonight, this moment, this breath, this final letting go into the deep and perfect stillness, where cats dream their cat dreams and you can dream your dreams, or dream nothing at all. Just rest in the quiet dark, safe and warm, and finally, completely, deeply, peacefully asleep. Good night.